Hello and good morning, everybody. My name is Lise Perez, and welcome to another segment of Saturday Morning Live with Lise. You know what? I just said my name is Lise Perez. I'm excited to chat with Tatiana Tevens and Brian Morales, founders of Adventures with Purpose, which is an impact travel company. Tatiana and Brian believe in the power of community and regularly host local community events. They are passionate about the power of social enterprise and building relationships with other impact-focused businesses around the world. They believe that the world's greatest asset is the untapped human potential from every corner of the globe. Now, it takes just one experience to ignite that passion and discover a powerful new relationship, and it is with Adventures with Purpose that they deliver the moment to their clients. So welcome to the studios, everybody, Brian and Tatiana. Hello, guys.
Thanks, Liz. Hi.
How
are you guys doing?
Good. How's your Saturday going so far?
Great.
Awesome.
Great way to start with you guys. Having coffee.
Excellent. Can I just make a note? So everybody, something special. Tatiana, it's your birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's great to be here on my birthday. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Do you have any plans today?
Well, we had a big weekend last weekend at the Outdoor Adventure and Travel Show, so mostly just relaxing.
That's okay.
Maybe dinner, but that's primarily it.
Awesome. So who wants to tell me about Adventure with Purpose? Who wants to start?
I'll let the original.
Sure. So basically, Adventure with Purpose is a tour agency, and our goal is kind of twofold. It's to positively impact the places we visit by kind of redistributing some of those tourism dollars back to the locals. But it's also, on the flip side, it's really to deliver a more impactful travel experience to the travelers as well. Because when you go, lots of the times you miss a lot of the communities and the culture if you don't know where to go and find it or how to connect with the communities. So we're trying to bridge the gap there and really offer more of a, I guess, purposeful experience. Yeah.
And I like that. But why? Why? How did the business even start? Brian, you want to go?
Yeah. Well, I think we both started differently, but with the same purpose in mind.
Yeah.
I started personally myself as a volunteer, and it had always been in the back of my mind to start an enterprise where we can deliver these experiences. And we met a mutual friend that said, hey, I know someone that's doing that in Mexico. You're doing it in the Philippines. You guys should meet. Then we met and we said, yeah, you got the same philosophy I have, the same love for Mexico that I have for the Philippines. And let's do it. It was a very complementary skills, because I didn't necessarily really want to do the paperwork, the startup process. So she already came with all of that, and what I had delivered was my experience of 7 years. And then as a volunteer, I'm like, I got the network, I got the people, let's start this.
And I like that because there's a saying that my husband always says, your strengths are my weaknesses. And
absolutely.
So I like that.
Yeah.
Because you came with the administrative side, or
exactly.
Then you came with the customer service.
Yeah.
And have you guys ever owned a business before?
Yeah. Not a traditional business, more on the network marketing side. I dabbled a lot in entrepreneurship, but I learned a lot too in network marketing. It's a great place to kind of test the waters and learn how to manage things, and even careers that were very entrepreneurial-like, that kind of let you go off on your own and produce your own dollars.
Yeah.
So some experience, but this is the first traditionally owned business.
And how about yourself, Tatiana?
It's funny, actually. We both kind of started our entrepreneurial careers in the same network marketing company, which I still have a huge love for. Because
the same but different times?
Yeah, the same but different times.
Right.
Yeah, so my story, I guess, starting off into entrepreneurship, I left school not really knowing what I wanted to do, and I fell upon this network marketing company. And I didn't really grow up a whole lot around entrepreneurship. So it just showed me this whole other world, like, wow, I can actually own my own company, choose my own hours, eventually. And I was so inspired. And the training, honestly, like the entrepreneurial training that's available in these network marketing companies is just incredible, because you're taught personal development, which isn't taught really anywhere else unless you take a business course. So, I guess down the line a little bit, I was very, very privileged in taking Momentum's self-employment course, which also really changed my life. And they help you write a business plan, they teach you all the skills, and that's kind of how I guess I pivoted into Adventure with Purpose. I don't know if you've heard of Thrive.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Patches?
Do you know Thrive is a part of Momentum. It's kind of the social enterprise leg. And Phil, who we both know, I went to one of his workshops, and he talked about the problems with tourism. And so I was originally doing a travel blog, and then after visiting his workshop and seeing like, wow, there's such a disconnect here, how can we change that? I kind of pivoted into Adventure with Purpose, and then that was kind of my entrepreneurial journey. Then I met Brian, and he kind of covered the rest.
And that's awesome, because as you guys said, like, you were meant to cross paths. It seemed like, because you guys were in a similar networking opportunity and component, and then but different paths, and then all of a sudden you're business partners. And how long has the business been around?
That's a good question. I think that's on the administration side. No, somebody.
We're coming into our third year. Yeah, we're coming into our third year. So we're actually just going through our business plan, and it's just wild how much we've evolved in 3 years. Like the business plan that we had from 3 years ago, it's not even, it's the same shell, but the company is so completely different.
You saw everything, how it evolved from the beginning.
Exactly.
There's a lot of personal growth.
Oh my gosh, personal growth, company growth, mission growth, and you kind of just catch everyone's inspirations along the way, and I think it just keeps getting better. So.
And do you guys want to talk about the local community events that you guys host? I know you have one coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. So we found that the best way to market our tours abroad was to get the message in front of people, and quality people, and people who are looking for it. So we found as we went along that creating events locally in the Calgary area was a good way to expose people, but I think it also combined our passions for food and just meeting people. So it was a fun little gig to do, and so tomorrow we have a travelers brunch that people can meet other travelers in the city. The people who like food, we're doing it at Espresso Cafe in Kensington, 1 year old. But this beautiful place has a baby grand piano, Swarovski chandeliers, beautiful decor, delicious food. They have a great chef, and so we're really excited to be hosting it there. We're going to have a section cordoned off for travelers, and we found that doing these monthly events was a good way to kind of create a community, to get to know people, and have an event and a monthly recurring events that can get people connected and stay within our community.
And do you guys you guys do these events monthly?
Yeah, we do events monthly. Sometimes we collaborate with other local business owners and see if we can elevate the community as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we found the best way to grow is that's what we do. We connect with other entrepreneurs who share the same philosophy. And I think it's going to be exciting. We have a few coming up in the summer that I think a lot of people will be excited about. I'd love to talk about it, but we haven't figured out all the details. But absolutely, it's going to be one of the biggest things ever to be done in the world, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
That's awesome. So you guys host, excuse me, these events and everything, and do you find that you've gotten to know a lot more people for the business, that your business has grown maybe exponentially because of that? Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a big learning curve in the beginning for me. Starting out was how do you market? How do you market? And they teach you in school, or many business schools and a lot of marketing gurus, they talk a lot about social media advertising, and I absolutely believe in social media advertising. It's so important, and it's a really great tool. But something that we struggled with in the beginning was, I guess, getting our story out there, which is great that you guys are doing this.
Yeah.
It helps us too. But we found that events was the best way to share our story and to connect with other people who shared our values, basically, and who are interested in traveling. And being Calgary-based, Calgary's a pretty community-focused city, which is great.
Yeah.
People love events and getting to know people. So we saw events really being the backbone of how our business was growing. It's how we connected
Absolutely,
with you
yes,
and how I
yeah,
met with
yeah.
Brian.
Exactly.
It's really just the connections. We were talking before another talk we did at the university about what were the biggest lessons we'd learned in our social enterprise journey, and it's all been networking and connections and events.
They're so important, and a lot of people, some people, even business owners, don't see that.
Yeah.
Don't see that the networking component is the most, I think it's one of the most crucial, because you always have to meet new people as a business, eh?
Yeah, and I think Tatiana made a great point, and how we met is the same way. It's hard to convey authenticity on social
Yes,
media.
yeah.
So if you don't get a feel for the person, it can still be done, but the best still, and our strength is these local events where we can be face to face with somebody and know where they stand, and so they can understand
Yeah,
our philosophy
absolutely.
and we understand yours. And that's really, I can name 4 people that I met before I met Tatiana, and the same with you, DJ and Liz. 4 or 5 people that I had networked with, not intentionally, but you said somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and this is how we all came to be
Yeah.
sitting here today through networking.
Absolutely.
So absolutely, we're an example of that. Yeah, networking.
And it's
huge.
actually interesting that you said that a lot of people don't convey authenticity in social media, because I was just talking about this with a guest on our Thursday show. He was saying that that a lot of people, they talk about their high life on social media, but what
Yeah.
happens behind the scenes, you never know.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting that I'm like, okay, you must have the most happiest life ever, because there's nothing
Yeah.
like no problems, no struggles,
Yeah.
no nothing.
Yeah.
So I like that that you bring these networking events together, even yourselves, like even to host, because
Yeah.
you gotta start somewhere, right? So even to host them yourself and just kind of bring people, being like, this is what Adventure with Purpose is, because it's all about community. It's all about building relationships. So I like that. I like that. So you guys, so you're an impact travel company now. Do you bring the tours? Can you explain a little bit more detail on how it works? So do you bring like tour groups to the country?
Sure.
And how did you, and because you're here, because you're local, how do you build relationships with the people from the countries?
Sure. So the greatest thing is that we're first-hand examples of these tours, because we both grew from experiencing the tours firsthand. The company became a company because we saw these things firsthand. So all of the tours that we do, we have local partners whose sole responsibility is to create the experience on the ground. And so we have full trust in their capabilities, and they've got years of experience. So all we do is, how do we transfer that feeling here in Calgary or Canada or North America enough that people are like, yeah, I wanna feel what you guys felt. I wanna go see what you guys saw. So we trust them and they trust us. It's a two-way street. And so we try to really tighten the relationship and get as much information and media as a big thing, so that we can transfer all of that sentiment or culture here, so that people are like, okay, we're gonna go and jump on and do one of your trips. So I think does that answer the question? I don't remember the full question there, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's just part of it. So thank you.
Okay, great. I'll let Tatiana answer the rest.
But the other question was, how are you guys able to build relationships with the local?
Oh, that's yeah.
With the local, I guess, tour
Communities?
guides?
Yeah, well, as
Or
Brian had
hosts?
said, so it's kind of unique to every country, and that's why we're
Yeah.
only focusing on 2 countries this year. But Brian has 7 years of experience volunteering in the Philippines, so he's basically family with our partners, which
Yeah,
is really
of course.
special.
Yeah.
And for me, with Mexico, well, when I first got started, we also have partners in Nepal and Cambodia and Southeast Asia that are incredible leaders in responsible travel as well. And so how I've kind of found these partners is we look for leaders basically in responsible travel, and then we seek them out and ask to partner with them. Someone named Daniela Papi is another woman who's really inspired me. She did a talk on also kind of what's wrong with travel, but also the solution to it, which was, again, connecting with communities. So in Cambodia, we've worked with Ayana Journeys for a few tours. We refer people to their day tours quite often, and that was her company that she started. But Mexico is where we're focusing this year, and that's because, I actually went on their tour the first year Adventure with Purpose opened to kind of experience it for myself, connect with the communities, the guides, and the owner myself to kind of originally it was to make sure what I was saying about the tours was true. But I got so much more out of it than that. It was incredible. I went on their whale shark conservation tour, and I remember just feeling so inspired by my guide, whose name was David. Just how incredibly passionate he was about sharing his home with the travelers. Yeah, because that's their home. There's no one better to share it than them. Yeah. And they're so passionate, and they're so brilliant too. And I was talking with the owner, his name is Kenneth, about him and his guides, and unfortunately how they're often disrespected by tourists. They all have degrees in marine biology and have been working to protect their homes for years, and in Kenneth's case, decades. And travelers don't know that a lot of the times. And just how much information, like he could answer any question I had. He shared with me so much information I would have never have known about the whale sharks in his home. And that's the other fold that I'm so passionate about with Adventure with Purpose is just, and I know this is something Brian is passionate about too, but it's flipping that. It's what you can learn from the communities, not what you can teach them.
And I like that.
Yeah.
Because as you said, like, unfortunately, a lot of tourists tend to go to Mexico or wherever for vacation, and they trash, like, especially like Mexico, when we're speaking about Mexico spring break. That's just, it's such a, like, I've been there in spring break, and man, I'm like, the way that the tourists trash the country, it's quite disheartening, actually.
Yeah.
So it's interesting what you did, and it's quite interesting as well because you never know who's watching your segments. And one comment that popped in is that her name is Natasha, and she's like, we need to talk because she actually does, and ironically we were talking about Mexico, and Natasha is actually an event planner that does retreats and whatnot, and she actually does them a lot in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
So she actually said, she's like, we need to talk because it's awesome what you guys are doing.
Sure, Natasha.
Definitely, we'd love to chat.
And she's actually a friend of mine.
Oh, awesome. Okay, we'd love to chat. Absolutely.
So I like that because you brought it in just perfectly because we were talking about Mexico, and then I read her comment.
Oh, awesome.
So she actually has a retreat coming up in November for Mexico. So
we should definitely
she does worldwide retreats.
That's awesome. Okay.
So
that's great.
See, you never know who's watching.
Yeah. That's exciting.
So tell me, you told me, Tatiana, and you can even answer this, Brian, yourself, but you said that there's a lot of, besides trashing the places, there's a lot of problems in the tourism industry. So can you share a little bit about it, whoever would like to share?
Yeah, I can share a few points, and then Brian can share from his experience. So when I was doing my market research, actually, I got a lot of statistics. But what I got more of was when I actually went and experienced it myself.
Absolutely.
And I think the most important thing is that with aid right now, like international aid, there's this mentality that's talked about as in the like white savior mentality. Whereas basically big companies go and they make donations or they help, but they kind of look from above as to how can we help you, whereas we're kind of trying to get away from that and change the mentality to how can we empower you with our visit, but also what can we learn from you, not what we can teach you.
Exactly.
And one of the greatest, I guess, experiences for me since starting Adventure with Purpose, one of them, there's been many. We've had the opportunity to meet many of our partners, which has been a great blessing. But when Mark came, actually from Seed, which is a company basically a social enterprise school in the Philippines that really inspired me. He came and did one of the talks at one of our food events, and he said, it is the privilege of the Filipinos to lift themselves out of poverty. And he, just how brilliant he was and how brilliant his students are. It just inspired me so much because we want to share that with Canadians, that we can learn so much from this culture. And it is such a privilege to learn from them and to just change that mentality completely. Like, it is a privilege to go and learn
It is, yeah.
from a culture and to experience their home.
And you actually don't truly see it as a tourist, really. Like, you're going into the 5-star resorts and whatnot, and you're not actually going right nitty-gritty into the actual local community, I guess, because you're not even touching it. Like, it was same with Mexico.
Yeah.
We always went into the hotels and the 5-star resorts and everything, but then when I met DJ, he took me right into the middle, and it's so different.
Yeah.
Like, right into the middle, nitty-gritty local community. It's so different because you don't see it as a tourist.
Yeah, I think the interesting idea is that it's not any different than what we do here. As a company, we create a community culture,
Yeah.
and it's what they do in the Philippines. It's what they do in Mexico. They create a culture of community, and all jargon and lingo aside, it's really just becoming family. So they lower the walls. Everyone's walls are lowered, and the reason I go back now is because I need to reset annually my moral compass to know the struggles that I'm going through is not necessarily really anything. And so when I meet people from Mexico or the Philippines and see what they go through, I learn so much more, and I'm inspired so much more.
And you're more grateful.
Yeah, more grateful. My tank is full, and I can't stop. Once I go meet them, like, okay, I got to go back and tell these stories. And so in many ways, it's my greed of wanting to know more from them than me helping them. But it becomes a two-way street. It really becomes. It's why I believe the volunteer organization I worked with in the Philippines for over 16 years now, GK, Gawad Kalinga, based in the Philippines, the way they solve poverty is by creating family-style relationships. And it's exactly the same thing we adopted here. I think it's the same thing in any business. If you can create an authentic experience with somebody and create a family-style relationship, you'll solve any issue.
Authentic experience, that's the key.
Yeah. Yeah. It's become a buzzword, but I don't know any other word to use, but it really is. Becoming family is probably how I would describe it. That's how I would describe authenticity. Because everything's on the table when it's family. They know all your faults.
It's
they
not
know
hidden. Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
And my next question was going to be like, what makes you guys different? But I think you just answered that. Is
Great.
authenticity.
Yeah.
Which has been my favorite word lately.
Yeah. It's so important, though. It really is.
It's in the title. Purpose is a big thing for us, and it kind of guides our philosophy when we make a decision too. If it will support the grand purpose, we'll move in that direction.
And so right now you're focusing on, what countries?
Mexico and the Philippines.
Oh, Mexico and the Philippines.
We can do anywhere, by the way, so if anyone wants to go somewhere, but it is our focus because it's where we know the most and we're experienced the most.
And do you have plans of going back anytime soon? For those, even tours? Like, is it in the works right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a tour coming up in July for both Mexico and the Philippines. And I'll personally be going to the Philippines as a participant too. So I can maintain the experience for everybody as well. So it'll be great. Yeah. I'm really excited for it. Super excited for it.
And a lot of people have asked me, would you guys consider yourself travel agents?
If we need to have a quick response, I think yes. Because sometimes we were just talking about this on the way in. people need to understand you and put you in a box.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, and I'm sure you guys come across that. They'll
Oh,
ask, what do
yes.
you do? And you have to say something that they can understand.
Yep.
And so I'll almost tailor the message to
Yeah.
certain people. And so, in short, yeah, I guess we are a tour agency.
I know, because
In short,
Yeah.
but really, you're, I guess, what do you call yourselves? Social enterprise,
yeah, we're
Yeah.
so,
I
yeah.
like impact travel.
impact travel.
Yeah, that was kind of
That's
'cause,
more
I mean,
powerful, I think.
yeah, I like impact travel. Like, really, we're a tour agency rather than travel because we're very
Right.
specified.
Okay.
We can serve any area because we have agency partners, like we had mentioned before. But yeah, I think the big difference is that we're so community focused. So it's like we want to create a family in Calgary who wants to go meet other families in the Philippines and Mexico. And that's
Got it.
why we have our events, we have
Yeah.
our food events, we have our brunches, we have galas, we have all different kinds of fun events, and we work with lots of different other great
Yeah.
little community groups as well, like the Filipino Food Movement chefs and the Colombian chefs that we worked with at Harvest Table. That was so
They've
fun.
always been great.
And we're working on some workshops now with some other businesses.
You were just talking, Tatiana, about prior to going to break, that that you partner with a lot of local companies and host even more events. So can you share a little bit more in detail?
Yeah, sure. So, like we had mentioned, almost all of our community networks and business partners locally here in Calgary have been met from events. So we love being able to meet with people in person, and something that Brian talks about a lot, actually. So I'll get you to touch on that after.
Sure.
Is the power of letting people work in their passion. Brian describes it better, but just allowing, so like for example, our event that was really spearheaded by Brian in November, our Harvest Table event, was basically everyone's passion brought together to create this amazing event. So we had Filipino chefs, we had pastry chefs, we had Colombian chefs, all working in their passion to create these amazing dishes with Mark from Good Trade sharing his passion at Seed in the Philippines, and then we had Guillermo from Good Trade Coffee share his passion about direct trade coffee from Colombia. And it was just so many different people from different places, but all passionate about basically their social enterprises or just their art. And it was just a really amazing way for everyone to showcase and get together and network. Yeah, it was a really amazing event. And so that's how we really work with people, is trying to connect all the passions together in our events.
absolutely.
And then, you know, we happen to travel together as well
See, that's
because
always
that's our
awesome.
passion. So, yeah. Did you want to add anything on that?
I think you hit all the points.
Okay.
I do owe it to network marketing. That's where I learned it. If you limit someone's creativity, you're going to limit their growth, and
Agreed.
because they access a part of their creativity that you wouldn't have otherwise if you say no to something. So I really try to allow people to express and use their passion, and the most beautiful things come out of it. And that's, I think, what our philosophy is in a lot of ways. And so moving forward, every event that we plan, if someone is passionate, the great thing about passion is that you could not pay someone to stop. Like if I went somewhere and
Yeah,
Tatiana was alone and someone said, you got to stop, and they even gave her money, I know she wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
something, you can't put a price tag on
That's
that.
true.
So that, I think we've been lucky enough to attract that kind of network, or people or friends, family, and it's why I think we're growing at the rate that we're growing.
Like attracts like, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. That's
So
it exactly.
as an impact travel company, because and you guys have gone to the Philippines and did this type of thing, what are some things that you've learned, I guess, from even just bringing people over and just learning about their culture? Like, what are some things? Because you had mentioned something before that a few minutes ago, that when you go there, you see kind of the authentic experience. You see the close-knit family type of atmosphere. Here, being a first world country, I think that's I don't know if it's been avoided, but it's been missing a lot, and it's been missing for quite a while. And I've noticed that even in third world countries like Philippines, Mexico, and all that, it's a lot more humble, in my opinion. less of a entitlement component. And so, yeah, what can you share about some lessons that you've kind of learned about the cultures?
Okay, I can start.
Yeah.
I know we have similar themes, but I know the specific lessons are different. So I guess the biggest ones for me is trying to summarize. I know I touched on it a little bit in the why we started, but and I just keep, every time you talk with them, you connect with them, you visit them, you learn more. But it's first and foremost letting them also play in their passion, because I find that them sharing their home with Canadians is so much more powerful than if I was gonna go lead a tour in Mexico.
Exactly.
And that's why we're so passionate about supporting the local communities, because there's no one that knows it better than them. And something that we do that I think is also unique is every community, not even just city, every community you go to, you have your one guide that's with you the whole time, but leading the day tour. So for example, in Mexico, you'll have your guide who's most likely from Cancun. But if you're exploring Valladolid or taking a cooking class in Valladolid, a little colonial city, you'll actually have people from that little city sharing with you the different special things about that city. Because something I didn't know, which is one of the lessons, is that the Mayan culture is very, very different than the Mexican culture.
Oh, interesting.
The language is different, the culture is different. And also we do that in the Philippines as well. We go and visit an indigenous community there, because Indigenous communities are also very much left out of tourism, which we'd really like to change here in Canada, in the Philippines, in Mexico, because it's so much a part of the country, and it's so important that we share that and we visit that in a, of course, respectful way as well. But that was another big lesson for me. And just, the perspective shift, the fact that Kenneth taught me so much, and so did David, and so did Carmen, like all the amazing guides I had in Mexico who I really, learned from and bonded with, because you do become family when you spend 7 days with them, and they share their home with you. Just how much they know, it was incredible.
And the food is a bonus.
Oh, and the food is so good. Oh my goodness, yeah, and you don't get the amazing food if you stay in the all-inclusives.
Like in all reality, you really don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to go lounge on the beach if you want to, like that's fine. But if you really want to go and have some good food, David will show you in Mexico for sure. And I know Brian knows the spots in the Philippines. So.
And myself.
I think the unique perspective that I can bring as a Canadian-born Filipino is the dialogue that we grew up in. So I think it would be similar to any second-generation Filipino in the U.S. or Canada, Australia, anywhere in the world. And I've met parents who have mirrored that sentiment. The dialogue that we hear isn't what the reality is. And I'll just give an example as quickly as possible. So there's a gentleman I met. He was late teens, early 20s. His name is Danilo Albin. He's from the Philippines. He's part of the SEED program in the Philippines, so the School for Experiential and Entrepreneurial Development. And he grew up under a bridge. He had to watch his family suffer as a young kid. I asked him several years ago, that's my favorite question to ask people, what was the hardest struggle that you had to deal with? And a lot of young Filipinos, when they meet me, I unfortunately don't speak Tagalog at all, actually. I understand it, like most second-generation Filipinos. So their biggest fear was, at the time, speaking English. And it was a shame culture, so they don't want to express. But they really broke out of their shell. And then years later, a couple of months ago from now, I asked the same question to him. And the incredible thing was that he started to develop a social enterprise, a natural, organic, how would you say it? A health drink made with oregano, honey, ginger, and Filipino citrus, calamansi.
Oh, yeah.
And he started kind of this. He was saying like it was kind of a cute concept that I would share in the market. And years later, now he's having his biggest problem now as a social entrepreneur is how am I going to produce 10,000 bottles a month?
Wow.
Wow.
So he started from the
So
bottom.
personal growth, yeah.
Yeah.
Something so simple.
And
as
now
English.
he's there. And he's doing it with big
Wow.
corporations. If I said the name on air, most Filipinos would know this company. And so it's very interesting to see. And you're right about the struggle. It's not this. It's just Philippines and Mexico, but also Africa. So the biggest what I learn is grit.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I think there's a lot of entitlement. And I go there to get grit.
Yeah,
From these kids.
because like living here and going to a third world country, it's oh my gosh, so much personal growth. Like you literally learn gratitude again.
Absolutely.
Like it like clicks on you, and it's like all of our struggles. That's why hashtag first world problems. Is just it's so irrelevant compared to countries such as the Philippines and Mexico and other countries like Cambodia and everything that you've mentioned, that you go there and it's like, okay, now it's my problems are completely irrelevant. Like I don't have to worry about why I why I don't have a social media account or whatever the case may be, or
a house, a car,
or why my cell phone's not working or something.
Yeah. And
So
even to something when you ask me what another lesson I've learned, something that's super important that I'd really like to touch on is that sometimes when we look at solutions to poverty in Calgary, we go to duplicate it in another country that we might consider developing, like the Philippines or Mexico. But it's unfortunate that sometimes we kind of forget what we've learned and think that the solution to poverty there is somehow different than it is here. They get treated differently.
Yes.
Why? And so Momentum, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically a poverty solution tool for people in Calgary. So what they do is they took people like me at the time, who was someone who was living basically at the poverty line. I had a barrier to employment, and they're like, instead of teaching you how to get a job and make minimum wage, we're going to teach you how to be a business owner, to actually give you a great life instead of just mediocre. And that's what inspired me so much about Mark, was that he wanted to give these Filipinos a great life, not just train them to make minimum wage and stay in poverty. No, let's actually lift them to help them lift their communities out of poverty. And just changing that perspective, like why would the solution to poverty in the Philippines be so completely different than here in Calgary? I have the same, people in the Philippines have even more grit than we have, and even sometimes more ability to lift themselves to great heights than we do in Canada. Yeah. And so that was just something that, huge lesson, huge. And and that's why I think I connected with Seed so much. I was like, wow, it's the same solution to poverty that I was given. And that's why I'm so passionate about it.
And so we touched on Seed a lot. It's been brought up to the conversation. So do you want to share a little bit about exactly what the organization does?
Yeah, so it's I guess a division or an offshoot from Gawad Kalinga in the Philippines, a community development program. A lot of people know it as a housing development, but it's really it's not. It's a community development program in a lot of ways, like Momentum here is in Calgary, and the solution. The way they did it is like how we do our business. Weekly events where they lower the barriers, become family, understand. It's not a dole out of money. It's a relationship built, understand the problem, because like Tatiana said at the beginning, the one who will figure out how to get themselves out of poverty are those who are already poor. It's not on us. All we do is give them the leg up, bridge them, become family, and okay, here's where you can go and network. And so Seed was developed as a solution to that. And because, as most people know, Filipinos, one of our largest exports is people.
Yes.
We leave the country to make a better life for ourselves. And so the thing that they're teaching now is, why do we have to leave our country? We're abandoning it. Why do we have to do that? We have such fertile ground. We have such opportunity. We're right in the middle between North America and China, where two of the greatest superpowers are. A lot of opportunity, as you guys well know. And so what they're doing is they created this Seed, which the best explanation, again, was Mark Cruz, is They're the only ones mass producing social entrepreneurs from the bright poor. So I love that explanation. And their goal is to do 500,000 social entrepreneurs.
Wow.
And they do it over a 2-year program that students are identified within these communities who are usually squatters, but it's not money the issue, it's just the access to the resource.
Yeah.
And so they sit with them, and the first thing they do is dignity training. So the idea of you don't deserve it, you're born poor, you must remain poor, they kind of extract it. And it's the same, I think, issue in North America. You know, it's like, you don't deserve to be rich. Well, no, that's not true, and they extract it. So that model, what I found interesting was it's exactly what Momentum does here in Calgary, and what a lot of network marketing companies do as well. So it's the personal development. The solution is the same, but for some reason we just kind of think, let's put $1 million and it'll fix the problem. The classic
Just add a
story.
business.
Yeah, yeah,
Literally.
yeah. Like there's so many great stories about that. It's
Yeah.
not money. It's not money that's the issue.
And I like that what you said. It's not money that's the issue. It's lack of resources. So
Yes.
SEED provides the resources.
Yes.
They're available
Yeah.
so that so that Filipinos or the local community doesn't even have to leave the Philippines to be
Absolutely.
sustainable. So I like that.
And what we want to do is really
Yeah.
strengthen the relationship between Canada and the Philippines. It's almost embarrassing how much resource we're providing, because when I went to the Philippines, the country that's supporting the most, France, and I love them. I love it's where I got the drive from, and I met amazing people from there,
Yeah.
from France, and they're doing the most work. I'm like, man, that's embarrassing that we're home.
It's not even
Canada's home to so many
Yeah.
Filipinos, but
Yeah,
it took
We are.
it was their gift to us. France, it was their gift to us to make us realize you guys are missing out.
Yeah.
And so my goal now is to really strengthen the relationship between Canada and the Philippines.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Canada, where are we?
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, regarding Adventure with Purpose, and I don't know if you guys do, but when you go to the tour, bring the tour groups, do you guys, because it's an authentic experience, so I have to ask, do you kind of do a package or something where they can learn the language from someone?
That would actually
Or
be
if
a
not,
really,
maybe
really
it was
cool.
just an idea.
No, but it is, because the language barrier was something that I kind of experienced my first time to Mexico. Is that you really, really want to connect, but a lot of the places you visit, they don't speak very good English.
Yeah.
So that would actually be something very cool. Maybe in like we just launched a monthly membership program.
Oh, great.
Where it
Okay.
includes 2 trips or 1 trip.
Awesome.
So maybe incorporating some language lessons, that would be pretty
That would
cool.
be an interesting
Because
idea.
that's on my list. I'd
Because
love
it's a
to
unique
learn.
experience, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because people can come and like, I'm a Filipino, but I'm born and raised here, right? So
Yeah.
I can not only understand it just like you, but I can't speak it. So just for my reference, I think it would be really cool to kind of people coming from Canada, wherever, and this is their first stop or however way you want to do it, is this is how you learn the language, or this is
Yeah.
some basic stuff.
That was a great,
thank you.
great suggestion. Thank you,
what,
Liz.
What if we employed people from these countries
See?
virtually?
There you go, exactly.
Create a business model. I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh
If
my
someone wants to do.
gosh.
Create a business model where they teach you virtually before you
It's
arrive.
true.
A few lessons included,
Yeah.
and it could be an income for them, and we get a really valuable experience.
See, and there you go.
Wow.
Let's throw it out there.
You never know,
Yeah.
right?
Some magic just happened. That is pretty awesome.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
Can you
Totally.
talk about a little bit about the memberships? We're going to wrap up pretty soon, but can you talk a
Yeah,
little bit about
sure.
the membership that you're...
Definitely. So basically, because we're so community focused and we have monthly events, and the goal is that people, before they travel in a group, they get to know each other and they want to travel together. So we are, as a travel company, it's a pretty long relationship with the people who go on our trips beforehand. So we're like, why don't we actually help with, because travel is a pretty big expense.
Yeah.
And so we thought, why don't we make this a little more attainable to people who would rather pay monthly. And so we actually split up everything from the trip into 12 monthly payments. So you can pay
wow.
for a
Awesome.
year to for your trip, and basically it just covers all the headaches you don't want to deal with. We book your flights, we do your airport transfer, it includes the guides, the experience, everything. Everything's taken care of for you in 12 monthly payments. And when you split it up into 12 months, it's really, really affordable, which is exciting
That is
because
really
you think,
affordable, yeah.
what can I give up in a month to go on 2 life-changing trips?
See? And it could be something as simple as coffee. I'll be honest.
Totally, especially Starbucks. It's very expensive. So, you give up a few, Friday nights or some.
Or the pizza night or whatever.
Yeah,
'cause
and then you
everybody
go,
always has that.
and then you go on 2 life-changing trips.
Yeah,
like that.
we call it the Impact Travel Membership. It's all flights, accommodation, transportation, guide fees,
Wow.
all split up into monthly payments. But you also get free access to our events. We also include a product with purpose. So products that we find along our travels, we'll offer it to members. You get discounts on our tours, referral. Like it's a huge bonus for
like
people
that.
to get engaged, and just kind of split into monthly payments so you don't have to think about it, and you get to go to the Philippines and Mexico, and
Yeah.
you know that it's coming, and all you got to do is pay it.
Yeah.
And is that launched now?
We're officially launching it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Actually, at our
Oh,
event.
At our
Pacific
event.
Coast. Yeah.
So you guys got a sneak peek.
And you know what's funny? Like every single time not every single time, but a lot of the guests that we have in EMTV, like it could be a musician, could be whatever, but they're like, so this is the first time I'm playing, or this is the first time I've launched it. So we have a lot of firsts.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great
exclusive
platform.
to
See?
exclusive
Yeah.
announcement, EMTV.
That's awesome. And someone was just asking Martel.
Mary Fell. Oh, hi, Mary
sorry,
Fell.
Mary Fell. Where is the brunch being held tomorrow? Place, time, and cost.
Well, it's called Espresso Cafe. It's in Kensington. It's 1 year old. It's just across from the Safeway that you know there in Kensington. It's at noon. It's a brunch. You have to register online so that we can make sure that there's enough spots for everybody. Maybe we can put that on
Absolutely, yeah.
on later. The time is 12 and the cost is $24.99. It's done by the executive chef Tajdeen Ali, who's originally from Lena's Italian Market. Beautiful chef, and they have an incredible pastry chef. And they got their liquor license,
gosh,
so you can do
that is
mimosas, Irish coffee.
Yeah.
It's a great place to meet people. And I'd love to see you, Marifa. I know we've been meaning to catch up, so thanks for messaging.
Yeah.
You can also, it's also on the Events with Purpose tab on our website. And then if you wanted more information on our monthly subscription, it's on the Heroes Only tab.
Heroes. I
Heroes
like that.
Only. Yeah.
Yes,
And are there, minors allowed?
our minors, I believe, yeah, the families are there, are
Yeah,
allowed, yeah.
Because I think it's a coffee shop or something, right?
Yeah.
So even if they have a liquor license, that's okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen.
It's a coffee shop and event space,
Excellent.
but it's family friendly too for Sunday brunches. And
Wonderful. Hello, welcome back. So we are going to wrap up pretty soon here in the next couple of minutes, but where can we find you guys on social media?
So our website is adventurewithpurpose.ca, and our Facebook and Twitter handles are AWP Community, and our Instagram is adventurewithpurpose_. We post a lot of things on our Instagram, our stories, so if you want to see some pictures and videos, or me and Brian chatting like with you
So
guys.
follow.
Yeah, follow us.
follow us.
And
That would be great.
So and Facebook is Adventures with Purpose as well, or Adventure.
So Facebook and Twitter are AWP,
AWP.
Community.
Okay.
You can also get the links
Perfect.
on our website too.
And that's where they can find, even on your website, but on Facebook and things, that's where they can find the membership and
Yeah.
membership info and all that.
Or on the Heroes Only tab on
Or
our
the Heroes
website.
Only.
Yep, that's a good place to find the web.
Awesome. And you guys, I believe you'd mentioned you're going to, is it Mexico or something in July?
Mexico and the Philippines.
Oh, both.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
So is there still time to get on board with
Yeah.
that? If
Oh,
people
absolutely.
wanted to?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, the whale shark conservation tour is in July. The reason we do it in July is because the clarity of the water is incredible.
Yeah.
There's about 15 whale sharks usually all around. They're not baited, so it's all naturally there. And yeah.
And the Philippines is great for social entrepreneurs. You're going to learn a little bit about the history. So it's called the roots, like the ground roots, and
Excellent.
the roots, like the decision of where to take the direction to go. It's the Roots and Roots tour, where you'll learn about the history of the
Wonderful.
Philippines, but also the future, because you're going to meet social entrepreneurs that are doing things like urban green farming, coffee production, all natural products, and then you're going to go see the Ayeta tribe in Zambales.
Excellent.
So you learn things like traditional medicine and archery, and of course island hopping.
Awesome. And now with the membership, I know that you guys book the flights and whatnot, but if someone had a specific, do you have a specific travel agency or can someone book it themselves? Like, how does that work that way?
For the membership, or do you mean the travel's coming up in July?
Well, both actually. The membership, I know you said you can book their flights and whatnot. So, is there a specific travel agency that you use?
Do you want to answer?
No, we're open to working with travel agencies. We love supporting other businesses. But one question we get asked a lot is, can we use our points for flights? Yeah. And you absolutely can. If you prefer to book your own flight, we can just reduce that from the cost or allow you to book it through the membership. Yeah.
So that's awesome. This conversation has been amazing.
Great, I'm glad. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. So at Empower Media TV, we like to ask you, what empowers you? And you guys can answer both at the same time, but different times. So we'll start with you, Brian.
Oh, okay.
You always
what empowers? I know, because it gives me time to think. Okay, what empowers me? Seeing people playing their passion. If I can get them to that place, if they can access their passion and creativity, that's my greatest joy. That's where I get bliss.
Nice and simple. Yeah. And Tatiana?
Yeah, I mean, well, what fuels me every day is just I'm so inspired by the incredible places we work with and people we work with. So just sharing their work, like Seed or local businesses, you know, I'm just so passionate about sharing that and that feeling that we got on our first trips with everyone else.
Yeah, so thanks guys for chatting with me today.
It's
awesome.
Pleasure, yeah.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much for having us.
You're welcome. And guys, this is Brian Morales and Tatiana Tevens from Adventure with Purpose. If you guys have any questions for them, or you just want to chat, or you even want to go just travel with them, because they seem like fun group of people to travel with.
We're all right.
Yeah, I think we're pretty fun.
Please connect with them, and if you guys would like to meet them in person, please do so tomorrow at their brunch. It's 12 o'clock?
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
Brunch.
And $24.99, and we'll put the links in the comments, and you can reach out to them as well on their Facebook page. And this Thursday, guys, remember we have Eric Quay, who we will be chatting with for What's Your Story. We go live at 8 p.m. And next Saturday, we have an open spot. So if any of you guys that are watching would like to join us in the studio next Saturday, please do so. And please just kind of reach out to us and submit your form on What's Your Story, or on submit your story, on empowermedia.ca. And you could be sitting in the hot seat just as these guys are. So good luck, guys, and it should be it should be fun. Can you actually, do you know how to say a little bit of Filipino, a little bit of Tagalog? Can you say happy birthday to Tatiana? No.
Oh, this is horrible. I can speak French.
Okay, French is good.
I'm from the province of Quebec.
There we go.
Bonne fête.
Very exotic.
Very exotic.
Malagayang something.
I honestly can't remember. Sorry.
That's okay. I got the French version. That's okay.
Can we, before we wrap up, can we just do this little singing? Because, you know,
sure.
it's her birthday. And she's
I'm not much of a singer, but okay. Sure.
Okay. Brian, you'll start.
Okay. Oh man, I'm on the spot now. I don't really karaoke.
Oh my gosh.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tatiana.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I'm blushing now. Oh my gosh.
She's turning a little.
I told you.
Surprise, there's 40 people. I'm kidding.
It's the lights. No.
Yeah, it's the lights. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Stay blessed, guys. And once again, Brian and Tatiana from Adventure with Purpose. And reach out to them if you guys have any questions. We will see you next time on Empower Media TV. God bless you and stay empowered.